Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Galactic Ambition, a Star Wars Unlimited podcast, part of the Main Deck podcast family. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jason, and how does this all work?
I don't know. I feel like we've never done this before.
Yeah, how does this all work?
This was definitely our longest hiatus to date.
We had a lot happen.
Yeah.
Like you did a bunch of stuff, I did stuff.
Over 3 months ago.
We both got really sick.
We
both got really sick, and then the holidays, it was like a perfect storm.
Yep. And then we followed that up with my computer just breaking.
Yeah, Dan broke his computer, which was good.
I wouldn't put the blame on me like that. It just decided to break.
Okay, well, we won't blame you. Okay. I won't.
And then we came back. That like got us through kind of December, and then in January I traveled to Europe for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, he went everywhere. Didn't invite me.
I should have. I'm sorry.
But we're all is forgiven because we're back here now.
Yes, and we are finally able to talk about set 3. Actually, what was the what were we covering in our last episode? Wasn't it like a set 3 like preview?
Oh, it was like it was right before pre-release, I'm pretty sure. And we talked about
I think that's right.
Well, some things have happened since then.
Yeah, a couple of things. Yes, definitely, because I remember now I wanted to do the episode where we talk about how wrong I was about Jango Fett.
Yeah, that was going to be a very repentant episode.
It was, but now Jango,
you're not as wrong.
Yeah, Jango isn't even
you're not as wrong.
If you wait long enough, then it's no longer really an issue.
Good job. You nailed it.
Our last episode was called Shadows versus Twilight. We were talking about, this is so funny because we were talking about in that episode how we were a little off on Shadows, and it was like a little better than we thought, but we're really excited about Twilight. And I think in this episode we're going to talk about Twilight now, and we're going to go in the opposite direction. a little bit. I actually have a lot of really nice things to say. Okay, well, good.
Because I mean, the set itself, okay, but what it's done for our community has been great, so I'm really excited.
Well, that's really good.
That's
I
really
think
exciting.
We'll be opposite in a number of ways.
And that's fine. We you know what? We don't need to be it's been 3 months. They don't remember how negative we can be sometimes.
We're gonna be
critical.
Critical's
a better word.
Not negative because
I could be straight up negative. I have been, but critical is a better word here.
Jason, we're going to cover just a couple of things that have like happened since then.
Little current events.
A little bit. And I'm going to be overall very positive and excited about a lot of that stuff.
I agree with you. I'm right there with you.
I'm going to start by just saying that I went to my first PQ, finally had an opportunity
nice
near me because it was in my very town, held at Paradox Comics and Cards in Fargo, and they ran a great event. Good prizing, attentive judges. It was on time, and it all was
nice.
So, a very good experience with that. And then right after that, we heard about some PQs where there were questionable judge decisions made.
Questionable judge decisions and questionable player conduct.
Absolutely, yes.
Which I'm not going to comment on. I was not in that room, so I can't say anything. That's not our place. That's not my place.
Nope. It's not our place at all. But I just want to point out the contrast, just to say shout out to Paradox for their extremely well-run event, where pretty much nobody had anything bad to say and everybody had a great time. And huge shout out to our local Ryan, who took it down, crushed it with Bosk Green of all decks.
Nice.
A deck that I can personally say he's been toying with that deck for a long time and was waffling. He told me he was waffling right before the event. He almost registered Han Yellow, which is what I played. I just messaged Bobby at KTOD and I was like, hey, can I get your Han Yellow list? And he was like, sure. I was like, I didn't have time to like test something, tweak a list. I'm like, I'm just going to get someone I can kind of trust the results on their list. And I grabbed that and I played it. And I just about topped but it was a win and in against Ryan, and we were about to hit time and in game 3, and I was like, I just gonna scoop it at this point because I felt like Ryan was gonna have. I just felt like he deserved it.
Sure.
Honestly,
Okay.
I felt like he was the higher skilled player, and so his odds of getting there were better than mine. And if I didn't scoop before time hit, then we both lost.
Hmm.
We got a draw,
Yeah.
which is a double loss in this game. Um, so to avoid any of that, and both of us not making it, I just said I'm just going to scoop to you right now. I just want to be clear, no, nothing. I got no compensation for that or anything, and I
Right.
didn't. Yep, nothing was offered.
Follow the rules.
Yeah, 100%, and it was before time was called. Um, so that said, then Ryan went on to actually win the whole thing, which was very exciting because, like I said, I know him. He's a very skilled player. I was like, he's got this if he can
Hmm.
get in there. I didn't actually expect a lot of myself at the PQ because I have been focusing so much competitive energy on other TCGs recently.
Yeah. You've
Um,
been in the trenches with that for sure.
I have been, yeah, I've been in the
Yeah.
trenches with Grand Archive
Yeah, for
specifically.
sure.
Um, So I was like, yeah, when it came down, it was like, of the 2 players that should be in the top cut, it's Ryan. Like, if I crushed him, gladly would have gone in, right? But yeah, I just gave it to him. Um, so yeah, that was really cool. Also, just shout out to KTOD because that was a sick as hell list. It was a really, really clean yellow Han, and I had some incredibly cool games and powerful. Just got to really, really bring out the power of the deck. I had this Bosk Blue right before I faced Ryan, where I I felt like of all the games of Star Wars Unlimited I've ever played, that was the one of like the cleanest, tightest matches I've ever played. A clean 2-0 against Bosk Blue, where I spent the whole time basically I just started trying to rush. He's
Hmm.
blue, so he stopped me, and like,
Yeah.
okay, pivot, and I went to just like this control game plan where I'm just disrupting hand. He keeps trying to resolve an Avenger. I make sure I have extra stuff out, really, really leveraging tech to get a lot of card advantage so I don't like get overwhelmed. And then I just bounce Avenger over and over again, like send it back to the hand. Like, I can't let you start attacking with this thing
Yeah.
until I finally close the game out twice in a row. So it was sick.
Look at you
Jason, have you gotten
go.
a chance to play in anything?
I didn't get to go to the PQ because it filled up like it always does in
Oh,
Kissimmee really fast.
yeah.
And I wanted to get on the staff for it, but I never heard back. So I was kind of disappointing. So
That is,
instead, I
yeah.
focused on cultivating our brand new local scene, actually, that we have now, which
Okay.
is kind of sweet. We went from having it pretty much being dead at our store to a brand new group of people. We're firing with we had 13 people last week. And from like the same 2 that were showing up. So it's really nice to have a brand new local scene.
Great.
Um, so I've been devoting a lot of my time for the local scene in our area, trying to get the other stores, like people go to other stores. Like, yes, I work at my LGS and I have a vested interest, but I also have a vested interest in the community and seeing it grow. I'm of a firm belief that in the TCG space, without going very tangential, shops can work together on a lot of this stuff. They can totally work together on a lot of this stuff. The
Yes.
pie, there's plenty of pieces of pie for everybody if you
Yes.
go about it the right way. And the best way to do that is take care of your communities. Make sure everyone, feels comfortable. Whether they have a place to play or they can't play this night, well, they're playing over here on this night. And then the way you make your money is by providing good customer service and having product and stuff like that. So we've been really working on that and just trying to get everybody the cards they need and focusing on, everybody. A lot of these people, it's their first time playing card games. So we were starting by doing sealed because we wanted to build their card collection. So they wanted to do sealed. They wanted to do, we had extra pre-release kits. So we just did that, and stuff like that. And just really just like enjoying growing this new community and which kind of has changed my opinion on set 3 because we've been doing a lot more limited.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So my thought process on set 3 has been from mostly a limited standpoint, to be completely honest. So that's where a lot of my time has been, and focusing on growing our community, and obviously taking. And I know you did it the other day. Took the L1 test finally.
Yes.
And without divulging anything, I thought my test was very well crafted, and I only got by not reading the right way. I definitely misread 2 questions, and I was way too confident. And yeah, without going into details, because obviously we shouldn't be doing that. What I can say, it was a well crafted test, and definitely worth a check of your game knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just want to mention, I want to put a pin in your like limited take on set
Yeah.
3. That's definitely something I want to come back to and prod your brain about a little bit
Sure.
later on. But yeah, the judge test, you know, both you and I passed it. Both you and I are I think looking forward to trying to do a little bit more actual judge work here. For me,
Absolutely.
it came down to a decision where I look, here's the truth about main deck and me and everything. Like there's only so many hours in the day. I keep trying to find like the cheat code to like unlock like hours 25 through 20 like 9 or something. Like that would really help. But yeah, it's still lost to me. I'm not sure how to do that. So at some point, kind of later towards the end of last year, I had to really make a decision. And say like I simply am not going to be able to compete at a very high level in multiple TCGs. It's not a thing that's going to work. Now, it's not to say I'm not going to be involved and interested in TCGs, in multiple TCGs, because like, for example, it's Star Wars. I'm not going to just ignore the Star Wars TCG or whatever.
Of course.
Right? But you know, it's to the point where we had really, really good players. I'm going to throw a shout out to Jason. Both you and I are friends with Sunny.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Who also just took down a PQ, by the way, with a sick Han Green deck that had a Tranquility. 2 copies of Tranquility, yeah. And he had the sickest combo that he was doing with those to like basically out attrition the late game. By just constantly recurring Tranquilities. Very cool. Sunny is frankly, in my opinion, he's got to be one of the most underrated players of this game. There are a lot of named players that people know, and I don't hear Sunny coming up enough, where he is like sharp, skilled, tight, and creative. Like
100%.
The big thing Sunny keeps doing is just finding these small tweaks to decks like Han Green. I mean, that's been a pet deck of his, but also Palpatine and stuff in the past, where he'll be like, actually, if you play this, it's insane. And you go, oh my God, that's like such a cool idea. So, but yeah, anyway, so, you know, Sundeep was a person who was kind of waiting on whether or not main deck was committing to playing competitively, because he was like interested in sort of working for a competitive team for Star Wars. And I felt bad. I kind of kept him on the hook for a long time. It was like, I'm working on trying to figure out the logistics. I'm trying to figure out if it works. And I ultimately had to decide around probably December of last year. It was like, it's just not, I'm seeing what I need to commit to do Grand Archive competitively. And it's just not going to pan out for 2 games. There's just no way. I can get the reps in that I need to actually be at like a high level of competition with both. So my decision was finally to just say, okay, I can't do that, but how can I stay involved with Star Wars at a deep level, but without requiring me to have all the time to put in all the reps to be competitive? And so I turned back to my old, my old sort of alma mater, my old flame, I guess, is judging. Jason, you and we've talked about this before. Go way back in the judging scene. And I'm excited to have finally done the L1 test. I did miss out on the really sick merch drop, which was really sick in the promos, but also there's the Cascade knows about the criticism. We don't have to go over it about the package itself and sort of like the generic Gamegenic supplies and stuff but I trust Cascade, because Cascade's a company that is really working hard to make this special, and just having those promos at all is already like a really good sign.
And not to jump ahead, but like the care that they've put into the program should show that there is enough trust to listen to feedback. I mean, look at all the lessons and everything that were available for anybody who wanted to do this stuff. Like, I mean, I've not experienced something like this in quite some time. The onboarding process and
Yeah.
being able to do that. I think that's crazy. So there's obviously feedback being taken and care being put in. So all we can keep doing is it's a new thing. Give it time. But it's definitely being cared for and cultivated in the right way.
Yeah, I just want to say that, like, I, again, as someone who really has their foot in the door with a lot of TCGs, I do not often see this early in a TCG, or even ever, a lot of the time, the amount of just like resources available to try and cultivate judges who are effective at the game right out of the gate. A lot of games just rely on sort of this, club of
Yeah.
you get in. Yeah, I mean, Jason,
You know who you know. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you get in, and then you just kind of are. You hopefully are someone who has some experience judging in something else already, and you can just carry that experience in. But it's really hard to just take someone who says like, "Hey, I want to judge," and just get them the information they need without them like just having to effectively know someone already that they can apprentice under
Yeah.
unofficially for a while to like not be awful at it.
Right. I
So
think that, not to cut you off again there, I think that compared to, because I come from a game right now where it is like Calvin Ball of who you know.
yeah,
And we're trying to fix that as a community, but it's so far into that at that into kind of knowing who you know at this point that's really hard to rectify it. So getting on the ground floor of a structured program that is about merit and putting the time in rather than hey, I'm a guy who knows a guy. It's really awesome to see, and the amount of people responding positively and actually taking a chance on these tests is really cool. Like, there's no complaints of when's there a judge test? How can I do that? It's like it's all right there. And the materials you need are all right there too. So if you're on the fence about even taking the apprentice test, I think it's a nice game check, a check of your game knowledge, and it's so accessible and really easy to like. There's videos you can watch. It's all annotated, and there's transcripts of every video, which is fantastic for accessibility. I can only keep saying positive things about the whole process.
yeah, and I would just recommend for people too, if you're looking to do L1, of course, you got to work with an LGS who
Yes.
will give you a recommendation. So first thing you can do is just make sure you get involved at your local game store. Be like, hey, I'm working on the judge program. I would love to be judging events here. And then at some point, if you could write me a recommendation so I can or an endorsement so I can take the test, that would be great. And then when you're getting ready to take the test, just make sure you've gone through those lessons or at least those
Yeah.
transcripts. And like, especially, we have a lot of good information about how the rules work in the comp rules, right?
Yeah.
That's something that FFG has been doing very well, keeping up the comp rules updates. And then just a shout out to swoodb.com, which has the swoodb.com/rules has the comp rules transcribed there, but
Yeah.
it's a little easier to search through as it's just on the web and everything. So I like to use that for a fast rules reference. But outside of the rules, otherwise we just have like that master policy document and the sort of tournament floor rules. And those are a little bit of a more of a, there's a couple of bears really of documents that it's tough to find like real clean answers to things, but I recommend again using Cascade's lessons,
Yeah.
especially on things like taking judge calls, um, and just general like procedure with dealing with problems and fractions, debates, all that kind of stuff. That those documents that Cascades put out for those are going to be a really good resource when you're just getting started, to understand how they want their judges to sort of interact with people, which are things that may or may not come up on your. I know. I think people get different questions on the test, so this
Yes.
may or may not come up on your test. But it's all like, yeah, it's good just to go through all of that stuff. And if you have a good rules knowledge and a good basic understanding of how they want, how you should be doing judge calls and dealing with that, you should have a pretty easy time passing the L1 if you feel solid enough on
Yeah.
your rules, I think.
Yeah. And again, all the materials there, and customer service goes a long way when you're partnering with your local game store. Don't be like, hey, I need to become a Star Wars judge and just barge in there. Like, do it with a game store that can give you an honest recommendation. Because The last thing you need is to like do all this and then fall on your face when you're actually selected to the event and you don't, you just kind of read the material and didn't, do the dance. Don't put yourself in that situation, because I've seen it in other games where people have been on staffs who are not qualified. That's the word I'm looking for. Qualified. And it can ruin the integrity of an entire event. So keep that in mind. No pressure.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I am really hoping now to be able to kind of get in on the ground floor and some other events. I'm hoping our LGS is going to get a PQ in the next season. Which will be a chance for me to sort of flex a little bit there as well. And then otherwise I've started applying just to more local events near me to try and get in and get some experience. And I think my goal ultimately is Jason, I don't know about you. You and I have to like outside of the podcast talk about the schedule for later this year and
it's crazy
and everything. See exactly what everybody is doing. But we have Worlds happening the week before Gen Con. I plan to be at both. And what I hope I'm doing at that stage in July, I hope I'm able to find a way to be on the judge staff for Worlds. I think that would be really fun. I would really like to do that. If not, I'll be just trying to play it out and see what happens. And then at Gen Con, I'm kind of hoping just to I'm hoping the prizes are better, and I'm just going to play some Star Wars.
And just Gen Con is to celebrate and have a good time. I'm kind of the same place you're at. I think my goal is I want to be a part of Worlds in a meaningful way. I don't see myself getting there by playing due to my skill, or those who can't do teach. I fall under the teaching category. I can't do 7-8 hour long tournaments. My brain turns to jello. Whereas my customer service, game knowledge, and just affability lend me better to judging and being part of coordination of events. And I hope that I can be there, part of it in that way, and just to celebrate just like everybody else.
Or I guess, Jason, you and I, if we're very lucky, if we can find the right opportunities, maybe we could be casting. But
that's what I'm saying. That's what we gotta. That's another plan for us too. Like I think that we have plenty of time to figure things out, but ultimately with the goal of just being there and being a part of the first World Championship will really sweet.
Yes. Yeah. I plan to. I see now the wording you used. A meaningful way, contributing to it. Yes, I agree. I'm open to various meaningful ways, but
going 0-8 is not meaningful. No, to my mental health or to anything else.
So I guess we'll just say for the title of the podcast, we now have different galactic ambitions than we may have had when we first set out to create the podcast, but there's still ambitions at the Galactic qualifiers or the Galactic championships. Nonetheless, they're just a different side.
I want to do well, and I want to do well at events, but I also could call a spade and know the time I'm committing. And right now my time has been literally just focused on community cultivation and, making sure people are enjoying the game and it's growing. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. And just on that note again too. So I'm really excited that your LGS has been growing. My LGS, our LGSs in our area have, I feel like, have had a little bit of the life sucked out recently. Not a ton. I mean, we definitely have our local players who are in and out a little bit, but they're just, they are not finding the same excitement that they once found. And I think we'll just maybe segue.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know what? How about we go right? Like, let's go. All right. Yeah. Save that right into our set 3 discussion, because I think that ties pretty well into what we're talking about here.
We'll jump into that just real quickly. I'm going to mention very, very quickly, if you guys enjoy Galactic Ambition and you
enjoyed it at some point.
If sometime in your past life you enjoyed this podcast that we haven't posted for 3 months, and you want to let us know how much you do enjoy it and you want to see it back, you can definitely leave a comment down below. Tell us, yay, Galactic Ambition's back, or so happy to have you here again. Let us know. down below that you are excited to see it, and like the video to show us that you are excited to be able to take this all in again and hear our thoughts on judging and PQs and set 3 and all that kind of nonsense. Would really appreciate that. And if you want to support Main Deck financially, remember whenever you're buying your hot singles right now, especially, you're getting excited to pick up Kylo's TIE silencers because they just revealed Captain Phasma, and your aggro brain broke seeing that. Something like that. You can buy those on TCG Player, but don't just go to TCG Player. Use our affiliate link, bit.ly/shoptcgs, in order to order your cards and send us a little kickback along the way, which would be really appreciated. And then, of course, if you want to pre-order set 3, this is the final thing, set 4. You want to pre-order Jump to Lightspeed. We have pre-orders up on JWW Cards right now. JWWcards.com is where you can go. There'll be a link down below as well with our, basically, I'll just put the pre-order link right there. Discount code Maindeck for 5% off as well. I think we still have Carbonite in stock. I have to double check. But we definitely have regular boosters and Spotlight decks in stock right now. Go grab them if you're looking for some JTL. All right. Set 3, Jason. Set 3. So I'm going to lead this in by saying I am super excited about Jump to Lightspeed. Right away, I'm going to say, oh my God, the design I'm seeing across the board on set 4, and I'm sure we'll have a whole podcast diving into this in the future, is like so good. And I've seen so many legendaries so far, even the ones that like are maybe, I'm not sure if they're playable. It's not like they're not playable. It's like, ooh, like that. The payoff I think is might be worth the setup on that card. On all those. And I've seen some other legendaries that are just like, yep, that's good. Like that's obviously a good card. And there are cool named characters, and I've seen rares that are super good, and even lots of commons. I'm like, that might be playable. And the piloting mechanic is so good. And it just has made me think, Jason, over the past 2 months, set 3's been kind of not too exciting. I feel like not
set
too impactful.
3 has just been, well, yeah, I would say it's been very low impact.
Yeah.
We all thought after the ban list that, all right, here we go. Set 3 is going to shine. And, well, I wouldn't say that it necessarily has. Django, like we talked about at first, holy moly, he was the big baddie and everything else. And then what? Not for very long.
No, it was surprisingly kind of short-lived. He burned bright for a little bit. It was like, oh my God, Django is way too strong. Yeah, and then and now what we've sort of gone back to is like, okay, wait, remember Han? Okay, he's still really good. Now we get a lot of people complaining about Han and DJ again, which I'm gonna throw out real quick. My opinion on that is fine. It's good. I'm not saying it's like it's good, right? Like I'm not saying, oh, you guys are stupid. It's a bad combo.
I don't think anyone's opinion is. I don't think anyone's opinion is wrong on it. I can see where it would really frustrate and people feel it's degenerate.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's like oppressively so. Yeah,
the big thing about interactions like that is when it goes off, it is strong, and it's specifically directly taking away a resource from players. And Jason, you and I have played card games for long enough. We know, like land destruction. As
Stone Rain sucks.
Yeah, look, I get that it's not as fun of an experience as some other ways of decks interacting with you, but man, it is not an easy combo to pull off in a competitive environment. It just. And again, I played Han Yellow at this PQ. There were a lot of very competitive players at this thing. Yeah. Okay. I think one time I did the perfect combo. They couldn't interact with my DJ. I stole the thing, and that was it. And then a couple other times I did the combo and they killed DJ, and I was like, all right, here you go.
Yeah.
You got it back.
You have it back.
They can kill Tech. They can kill DJ. It really requires your opponent to consistently oppressive. It requires you to have a bunch of opponents who just don't do anything.
I do think it kind of limits some opposing play styles in a sense, if you want to make sure you consistently can handle the list. But I don't think that should kind of dictate the metagame. right now, especially right now. Um,
Sure.
yeah, I think it's perfectly fine, but I definitely can agree with people's takes and how upset it makes them, because yes, it makes me upset.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I played for the first time 2 weeks ago and that happened to me, and I was just like, that's
yeah.
very cool and
Look,
fun. I'm
like,
so happy right now.
yeah, let's be honest. You can't win the game anymore when it
No,
happens. Like
no.
that's it's not possible. So I'll say from that perspective, like, yeah, if it goes off on you, it's pretty much just go to game two.
Yeah.
But every card game is going to have these tenuous combos that require a lot of things to go right and then cause you to win the game in some capacity. And that's where it's like the real cost for it is that it just doesn't happen. It doesn't realistically happen very often in a competitive environment. So yeah, if your friends are doing it to you at locals and you're getting beat up by that, I mean, it's totally fair to be like, guys, can you just like play something else or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm on board with that. Go for it. At the competitive level, we don't see the dominance of that exact line. The reason Han Yellow is so good is because the rest of the deck is also really good.
Yes.
And occasionally it does that thing too. It's more about Han than it is about the DJ combo, if in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And then at locals, if people do it, you could always vandalize their car or something if they want to keep doing it. Or
I
something
wholeheartedly
completely
agree.
sane.
Obviously,
Yeah,
with
just
that
vandalize
very
things, commit
very
crimes.
well-adjusted take on things.
So, but with set three, so we've talked about it kind of like, so on a metagame at large, what
Yeah,
do you
sorry,
feel about your a metagame at large? Has set three really made much of an impact in your opinion?
Yeah. So, I mean, what we have now, like I was trying to get to, and I just got to the tangent about it, but Han Yellow came back.
Mm-hmm.
We have the rise of Tarkin Town decks in general. So it became less about Django and it's more about TT, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's more about like what decks can actually take Tarkin Town and get value from it. So Quinlan from set three has gotten a lot of play,
Do
right?
like
That's
Quinlan
been,
a lot.
yep.
Love that
Yep.
guy.
Quinlan has been a solid deck in the metagame. Um, and then we have just various control-ish decks that kind of get in there. Bosk Blue has had its kind of time in the sun. Blue, just various like occasionally get mono blues. We've seen a couple of pre-Vizslas that have been like kind of creeping around there, which has been really
Mm-hmm.
cool to see as well. Um, and then I don't know, honestly, just a kind of a smattering of just some of the old expected things. Palpatine's creeping in sometimes, and obviously, of course, Sabine aggro decks,
Of course.
various just like flavors of aggro things kind of creeping around. But yeah, like overall, none of these decks, other than like Quinlan, and then the Django kind of before that, are like really like high, seen frequently and are set three dependent. And frankly, it's just like the leader choice that is the kind of the set
Is
three
yeah,
part. Um,
absolutely.
and there aren't a ton of cards in set three that have really, really like changed the landscape a lot in my opinion.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. It's just been like I was my actually in my notes here, like I was going to talk about Quinlan. I think set three has mostly been, like I said, the impact has been made by the leaders more so than the cards in the set.
And it's not even very many leaders, right? It's
No,
just like it's a couple of them.
a smattering.
Yoda has been like on the fringes of making it, but just never quite good. DDA, another content creator, Random Number Gaming, he just posted the main deck Discord earlier today. He's like, I cracked the code on Padme. And I'm like,
I know you stopped everything you were doing.
I gotta see this. So yep, I'm looking forward to seeing what his like Padme list is, but like yeah, like Padme, Rex, like the Republic kind of stuff, the Clone Trooper stuff, Flip Palpatine. There's been all these like really
I thought
cool...
Obi-Wan would do a little more too, just because on the
yeah.
virtue, like a Sentinel leader, that's sick. And then
wait, we had Chewbacca, but that was he's
well,
a 7.
yeah, I'm talking like see that's 7 and with a not really meaningful
yeah
ability.
yeah, it's um, I did think that we would see some of these leaders doing more than they have, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is I don't think even if we all agreed that Han's too good, let's suspend Han also. I
Hmm.
don't think that would actually bring the set three leaders into the metagame at all either. Um, I think my experience with set three and my take on it is that set three definitely seems like it was designed around the same time as set one. I feel like there were probably a lot of designs on the table and different mechanics, and they were like, okay, let's kind of break this up. Here's the set. Here's all the mechanics that are kind of like all smuggly and stuff, and we're gonna put those in set two. Here's all our base mechanics; those are going in set one. Here's all our token stuff, and that's going in set three, because Clone Wars and armies and stuff, and that makes sense. And it 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 obviously like didn't have some of the lead time in development between the release of set 1 and the release of set 3 to like really hone the set into like, okay, what is the game playing like now? It feels to me like a lot of it was just stuff that was designed in sort of like a that abstract void of the game hasn't released yet and we haven't seen how the players respond to things and we don't totally understand the full power level of the game, which is not like a jab at FFG. It's just how
Not at
designing
all.
games works.
Yeah, not at
Um,
all.
from experience, before we get the keyboard warriors, from experience developing TCGs, firsthand experience, that's how it goes. And so I wish that set three were more constructed, impactful, but they were frankly, I think, correctly careful with the power level of things like exploit because free or cost reduction
Yeah.
abilities are scary. So they obviously they didn't put any like home ones and Avengers in with exploit. They put in malevolence, which
Mm.
is a card.
Okay. It's a card in the game. Absolutely.
It's a card you can play. Um, and they didn't want tokens to become oppressive in general, clearly. So like a lot of the token abilities are like, yeah, that's roughly value, I guess, to get those out or whatever. Um, and all the traits are just kind of like the Republic stuff is like fine, but doesn't quite like there's not like a clear curve and a clear um like a clear power level that they were trying to hit with things. You have like a smattering of things that are like kind of useful to Republic, but not like a oh wow, every time you go this card into this card into this card, then it all you get like a big jump on your opponent or whatever. Instead, a lot of the token stuff is really just fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of the whole set in general is just kind of fine. Has that been your experience?
I think so. As in constructed play for sure. It just feels like it's there, which is
Yeah.
which I don't know if that's a good thing. But again, these sets are all designed with other sets in mind as things come down. Especially now that you're saving that for a whole other video. It's a great idea with rotation being announced.
Yes.
So they're obviously intent with cards to synergize with cards as rotation occurs. So we still have time with set 3 and other sets coming out, and hopefully maybe there's bits and pieces of synergy with some of these other cards, so like for exploit. Coordinate has been fine in my experience, so I really enjoyed Coordinate. I think the payoffs for Coordinate have been fine enough. But exploit, I feel like still needs more time in the oven for sure.
I think both mechanics are just perfectly fine. I need to stop saying that. Sorry. I'm going to use a more descriptive term. Um, I think both mechanics they do what they say they're going to do. They are functional mechanics. But none of the cards or mechanics, and especially this is especially true about the legendaries in the set,
Yeah.
are actually at an exciting power level. Well, I won't say none, but most of the legendaries.
Most.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I won't say none. None's not true, but most of the legendaries are not at an exciting enough power level or have a strong enough payoff for the sort of cost or setup that they require to actually impact in a reasonable way constructed. Meaning that just the set one and a few set 2 legendary, but actually set 2 started to suffer from this too a little bit. Um, a few those legendaries are just more all around useful and playable, and they don't have setup that like they rarely have the kind of setup where it's like, well, this just isn't really a tenable thing to do in a constructed environment. I think about like things like Pyrrhic Assault and whatever. There's some
Yeah.
like and an invasion of Christophsis where
Oh
it's like,
yeah, my favorite.
and Gore is another example. Like these are all like cards that are like, it's just like the world where these are playable is like a world where the cost is like massively reduced, or they just are a different card is printed instead of them or something.
My big thing about the legendaries and when you make a new mechanic in a set, you usually want your linchpin cards to focus on the mechanic. The problem is when the mechanic itself is very like exploit is like, all right, you're going to go down this many things to do this at a reduced rate. It's like the payoffs have to be like extremely over the top, and I don't think the payoffs we got were exactly that.
Yeah, and again, I think that's fair, right? Because like I would rather they didn't just on set 3 break the game with like free cast home ones or something.
Absolutely.
Like I get the danger of doing that, but it feels to me like ultimately this is a development. It's not a design miss, right? There's a difference between the two. It's not a design miss because the design is really cool and makes sense. And
Yeah.
I absolutely, I want to say I still love the design separation between separatists and republic. The idea of the separatists are throwing away their army and just using it to gain consolidated power.
Yeah.
And the republic are building an army and growing and making everything stronger by having more of them. And I think that's like just a really, really clever way to separate the two while still relying on sort of the same core mechanics of the set that work together and allow a draft limited to work, which I'll let you talk about in a little bit here too. But the development of these things was like, how was Gore ever playable in their like play testing of constructed with these decks is the thing that I just like can't quite figure out. How is Invasion of Christophsis a card that ever got slotted into anything?
Yeah, we weren't behind the scenes and doing it, so I guess we don't know.
We don't know.
But we don't know.
But yeah, it's like it's so there's a Twitter post from Tyler, who I think he actually recently was given a like lead design role in Star Wars Unlimited 2 or something. So huge congrats to Tyler.
Sweet.
If I didn't make that up, I think I didn't make that up. Tyler is awesome. Very, very smart guy. I definitely a guy I want to talk to more about things who I've talked to a little bit in the past. Brilliant dude who he made a post saying like, we learned a lot, basically. I'm going to paraphrase, but we learned a lot watching how players responded to the set design and the legendaries and everything in set 1, 2, and 3. And we made tweaks to like what cards and characters people expect to see at legendary in future sets. And we are already seeing, I think in Jump to Light Speed, them pulling back and going like, okay, like we're going to do this better. and I think they are so far. So FFG, if nothing else, has been clearly a company that has been showing that they're learning from people's reaction to things. It's just not always at the speed that I think people will unreasonably expect of them to be able to react to things at.
Yeah. I think there was an expectation to be a little bit more proactive than reactive in that regard, especially in the design, in the development phase, and regarding the design philosophy. But again, one thing I'll always pride Star Wars Unlimited and the design team on is the level of transparency that we get from them to show that they're listening. There's always thoughts about cards from Tyler on Twitter. He's talking. He'll just, all right, we're going to talk about this card and my thoughts behind this card. When we designed Han, we did it. That's awesome. You don't see stuff like that from every other major card game or anything like that. You don't see stuff like that. So the level of thought and care is there. It's just From a flavor standpoint, set 3 is phenomenal. I do think, like you said, they nailed all that. Maybe not quite the competitive mark. I have seen a lot of casual tier decks and kitchen table style decks with the new stuff that are a lot of fun that people really enjoy. And I think that's great. But as far as like, if we want to talk about a competitive meta landscape, didn't quite hit the mark. And I think it's because the focus of some of these marquee mechanics just didn't quite hit that bar of the exceptional bar they gave us in set 1. And that's also a problem in itself. Set 1 was, I mean, set 1 is lights out. I mean, like, there's the legendaries and so it's just so good. It's going to be very hard to, do that every time. And nor should you, because that power level is kind of crazy on some of those cards, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And I think that's fair. I mean, at some point you have to push the envelope a little bit, right? Because people have to get excited. People will complain about power creep in games, but power creep is what keeps people interested in the next set and the next thing, because like Twilight is what you see when you go, you know what, we are not going to power creep the game at all.
Right.
And then when that happens, my locals go from 12, 14 players weekly to 6, and there's just, people just don't have that excitement. And I do want to say too, that I think like, I totally agree. There's a lot of casual, like really fun stuff. I bought a showcase Dooku. It was my weird showcase purchase of the set.
I have a Rex, so I'm right there with you.
But I love Dooku. I love the Dooku deck, and I'm excited about the some of the separatist stuff we've seen in set 4 already. So I'm definitely like looking to tweak that a little more and try and make it work. But like, there definitely is there are casual decks. There are casual, like, fun things you can play, and I think there's good theme, like you said. It's just that a problem in set 3 is people open a box of set 3 and then their big hits are Pyrrhic Assault, Gore, and Clone or whatever, and they're like, just like, it's like,
thank you.
Yeah, it just doesn't, when like what they're expecting to open out of Twilight is, I opened my Twilight box. I got the legendary Anakin. I got the legendary Palpatine. I got the legendary Senator Jar Jar Binks. Okay, that's not that one, but like,
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, but they're expecting to see, Duel of the Fates, a named card that's like, whoa, like the cool, and don't get me wrong, like Invasion of Christophsis was an important moment in the Clone Wars, I guess, but like, it's not one people. Yeah, it's just not quite there, So that's the thing that I know they're working on, and they even announced just recently, Jason, something that we can talk about in just a moment here, that they are adjusting rates starting with set 4 as well.
That's awesome.
Where there's going to be more legendaries to collect. Oh, but hold on. They're also upping the drop rate from one in every about 8 packs to one in every, I think it was every 5 packs.
That's great.
Which means every box you should get somewhere between 4 and 5 non-foil legendaries. And then you still get whatever foil, hyperfoil ones you get on top of that. Meaning we're going to get a lot more high legendary boxes, and you're not going to get those 3 legendary dud boxes anymore. And you're just going to have to like, but there's more legendaries to collect, but it works out as a net positive. They say. So, I mean, I'm really hopeful for the future. I'm really hopeful for JTL, but before we kind of get to closing things out, I want to talk about your limited experience. You played more than me. Because I think this is all really positive, and I think this is going to be an important way to like frame our discussion on set 3 as well. So go talk about how it's been for you and the new players.
So if we want to talk about the mechanics in a metagame standpoint and how they don't seem to stick as well as they will, in a limited standpoint, we've had so much fun building around exploit strategies, especially local. There's been like they were drafting, like I have a guy who's like, his goal is just to draft the most degenerate exploit combos and stuff as possible. And just trying to be, it's been really cool to watch people, especially in first exposure, mind you. So we got our restock of Spark after all the new people showed up because we forgot to order it because Star Wars at our store was like, so my boss was like, oh crap, we forgot to order it. And I was like, well, let's order it. They have it for us. So we need to get it from Asmodee. So blah, 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 we get it. And so when they were all starting, like all we had was like, all right, we're doing set 3 drafts. And it was fun to watch their excitement around the mechanics and how flavorful it was and how cool it was to build up the droids and blow them up to play bigger things and or do different things with them. It was so cool to watch um, the kind of the wheels turn with this set and kind of tune your strategies around exploit or around a going wide coordinate strategy in a limited format, and maybe playing a leader that probably wouldn't see constructed play. For example, one of the biggest hits locally was, in sealed was definitely Dooku. Was people trying to do stuff with that because it's eye catching to make I can get this card exploit 3. I could cheat something out for a lot cheaper and maybe get some more value out of it and expend my resources in what's already a limited card pool. So I think for a limited format, I think it's been a lot of fun. There's a lot of time to explore that design space and cultivate these fun decks based around the mechanics, based around exploit, which really wants to be played. And I think it's cool enough to, from a keyword standpoint, that's like, oh man, I really want to try these cards out. But you can't bring Legends of Christmas to a tournament. You can't.
Legends of Christmas.
You can't. You can't. Like, and I still don't think you can really play it in sealed either. But
well, okay, so that was going to be my question for you. Is like,
no one played that.
Right. Okay. I mean, we had a draft where we opened 3 of them in the pool.
Man.
And everybody
hit the table a couple times, though.
Every time someone opened one of the drafts, they're like, I got an invasion. Nobody played them. But I was going to ask you if you thought maybe, just like trying to think about the design of the set from a different angle, maybe do you think the legendary choices and their mechanics were and their power level and everything were maybe more influenced in this set by limited specifically than they were thinking about constructed? Because maybe they like had a design for gore and they were like, well, that's a pretty, like this keyword super exploit card doesn't really need to be at like uncommon or something. They're like, let's just make it like less common. Same with invasion, like super exploit 5. Like sometimes designers for games use higher rarities as a way to tuck cards away so that they're seen not so much that they like overwhelm new players or super, skew the way a draft works or something. Do you think there's any merit to that idea just as a way to kind of like justify how they pick the legendaries in the set?
I think so, but I also don't know enough about their philosophy for limited.
Okay.
I like just on an anecdote, like, just by seeing what I've seen, you can definitely, there's a lot of care to how the game works in limited. 100%. There's a lot of care. They want it to work. They want it to be a format that you can go to your local game store and do. And this set's a really strong example about how much they care and how the keywords and everything are designed and how synergies work. It would make sense that maybe because of a limited vacuum, they don't want it to be like, oh my gosh, and maybe overwhelm new players and make them too flashy and everything like that. You kind of want it to do what it says on the tin. But again, on a personal level, I'm not too in tune with their limited design philosophy because, to be honest, I'm not a limited player for the most part. I really only started to explore limited formats with Star Wars because it was getting new players in. It was the easiest onboarding process. They liked opening up cards and seeing characters that they've watched. And a starter deck, they were like, oh, okay. But when I'm like, yeah, but these people are in this set and these characters are like, oh, let's open packs of this and play with those. So the starter deck onboarding process worked for a little bit with our new players, but they just wanted to get in there and open up packs and see these characters they've watched or read about. And I think that from that standpoint and how the flavor there has been a great success, and they continue to knock it out of the park with that. And a set 3 is no exception. So kudos to them. And my guys have been loving limited. I'm sure other people have as well. I'm hoping people have. I really hope that you, the listener at home, have tried the limited formats outside of maybe your pre-releases and gotten in a draft or maybe done some sealed, because it's a lot of fun and it allows you to think a little bit differently and allows you to evaluate and think about cards in a different manner.
I will say that even though we've, like our constructed turnout has been down a little bit, and not even like, just a bit. But
it's also the holiday season too, so like it's
it's
always a tough
it's
time.
been a little
Yeah.
complicated. Well, it's the end of January now. I think we're kind of
Well,
past
set
that. But
three
like,
was during the holiday season.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
talking about
it
set
was.
three. Yeah.
Right. And I think that might have affected the momentum of everything a
Yeah.
little bit too. But one thing we've seen that's been pretty impressive was still a drive to come to play limited events
Yeah.
when they've been hosted at any of the stores here. Um, they there are more limited events firing per month for Star Wars Unlimited than I think there are for Magic in both of the sort of the bigger stores in the area,
Wow.
which is a pretty impressive feat considering Magic has been was like forever the game that did limited best or whatever. But
Absolutely.
like, um, I think the combination of the pack cost being a little better for Star Wars, and then just the limited formats actually being done really well and being very interesting and fun to explore, has made it so that whenever we do host actually one thing we've done, I guess we haven't got to talk about this. We've done a couple of chaos drafts now.
Oh
Have you
yeah, we
done
did
any of
one
that yet?
too. Yeah, we did
Okay.
one. Everyone hated it.
Oh, my guys loved it. My guys
Everyone
loved
hated
it.
it because these guys were newer and they're so used to synergies and things working
Sure.
so easily with each other. They're like opening sets once and there's like, this doesn't, oh my God. So I think it was stretching their brain in terms of some of them being new card players and trying to, whereas it's a carefully crafted package when you go to a single set on how to build versus 3 sets. There's way more diversity and card choices and thinking that has to get in there.
Yeah, I want to be clear because we didn't describe that for the audience, but
Oh, sorry.
the chaos draft that we've been doing, it's got different uses in different games sometimes, but here it's just 1 pack each of sets 1, 2, and 3. Everybody got those and then drafted them, and we had them do it. I think we had them do it in that order, in 1, 2, 3 order as well. But the order is actually very relevant to
Absolutely.
sort of the experience in the draft. So, um, yeah, that I mean, if you have very experienced players, I think they will have more fun with it. But I totally see it's like they're not designed to be drafted that way. They're designed to be single experiences in each set. But yeah, we wanted to mix it up a little bit, so we tried that and they had fun. But otherwise, people, we've done pre-release pack draft was another fun one we did where we used pre-release packs instead of Twilight boxes. And then we threw the Ahsoka and Grievous into each person got randomly one of them into their set of leaders so that they drafted those as well. Just, we're like, whatever, like here, just make it kind of fun. And no matter what, though, everybody's had a lot of fun with limited and it's always been good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's been a really eye-opening experience for me as a curmudgeon constructed player to watch everybody enjoy and play limited, and it's actually kind of allowed me to really appreciate what they're doing with this game in far of a limited format. So excellent job on that design for set 3, and it's been a great success for my local community and really actually reinvigorated these guys to play constructed and branch out. And now we're going to have our store showdown, the first one we're going to fire with a meaningful attendance. And it's just, it feels really good. So overall, while set 3 might not have been the most impactful in metagame, I think from a local standpoint, it has reinvigorated our love for the game because A, the sealed has been a lot of fun, and B, you can get the product. Which everyone complained about. And you know what? Good on you, but I have tons of new players that can go into our store every week and not have to worry about, we don't have boosters this week. So you know what? I'll take that 10 times out of 10.
Yeah. The product, but the main issue again is like the legendaries just needed to be better for the value of the product. But I totally agree. I was so glad we actually we're out of Twilight now. Again,
we're about out now.
We did run out of it. Despite that, we ran some good sales for the holidays and got a lot of people the product that they wanted, and they had a great time. And now we pretty much just we have a little bit of Twilight held basically as like prize support and stuff. And then we have mostly Spark available. Ironically, now it's like you got lots of Spark. So we're running things like Win-a-Box, Spark of Rebellion, Win-a-Box
Sign me up
and stuff. So yeah, it's cool. So what I'm hoping for though, Jason, just as a way to segue kind of out of this is, again, set 4 looks like lessons learned. And I can't wait to see. I'm really pumped about Carbonite Edition boxes. I
Mhm.
posted a video recently where it was named as my number one product I'm excited for this year because I think they're doing collector boosters really well based on how they've described them. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. Very, very exciting collectibles in there. We've been told already there are 2 sideways cards in the prestige variants, which are pretty obviously, I think, going to be the Executor and the Supremacy.
Mm,
Maybe I'm wrong about one of
maybe
those.
you're
It's
wrong.
at least one of those is correct. There's no way it's not. But I think both, especially given we've seen a push for the sequel stuff. So that's going to put the Supremacy, I think, in there. And then they're not going to not put the Executor in Jump to Lightspeed, I'm pretty sure. So I can't wait to see that stuff. Get my hands hopefully on a serialized card. I'm going to be cracking open some
That's
of that on
so
stream.
crazy. Yeah, that's what I want to see.
Yeah. It's gonna be I bet they're gonna be gorgeous. I can't wait. Really looking forward to all that stuff. And then I think the design of the set's been super good. And Jason, just to pull the curtain back a little bit,
Yeah,
you and I are about to actually record as soon as we're done here our spoiler video, which should be out in a little bit,
yeah.
very very soon. And boy, this
We got
week.
blessed, buddy. I'm so excited. If you guys thought Tech was good, although Tech, if you put these two together, I still would rate Tech a little bit higher.
Tech's crazy, dude.
Tech's probably one of the craziest cards I've ever seen. This card is so awesome. The flavor is really exciting. And I'm so excited to get ready to talk about it. And then so you guys could see it and be just as excited as we are. Jump to Lightspeed is really exciting. I don't care if you could remove a pilot with easy efficient removal. I still think it's fun.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I am excited to put 2 Hans on a Falcon or something.
Yep,
Do
exactly.
Goofy things with these pilots and like 2 Chewies on the board and whatever. Like,
it's going to be so exciting. I don't care. It's fun. The cards we've seen so far are great. The legendaries are already outpacing what I feel the legendaries that set 3 have, especially that turbo laser blast or whatever today. I was pumping my fist for that card. That card is so exciting. Yeah, it's all really exciting. We have so much exciting stuff to look forward to and talk about really soon. But for now, I think that's it.
Yep, that's going to do it. Yep, I think that's going to do it for this one, Jason. We are actually going to be back in 2 weeks.
Actually, 100%. Right? Yeah, I have my Thursday night commitments are to this.
Would you like to get really, really sick again so that we
I mean, that's messed up to kind of wish that upon me.
I don't wish that.
I think everyone just heard you say,
to.
I mean, I don't ever really want to get sick.
Me
I guess, I mean, unless. But no, I'm really excited. I really want to keep talking about this. I really want to put the pedal to the metal and just really kind of talk about the game that we really enjoy, especially as, you know, time passes. We're getting closer to Worlds down the line. We have so much cool stuff. The Carbonite, all the Carbonite stuff you're going to open and watching your sadness when you don't hit it serialized on stream. Stuff like that.
As long as I can get a damn showcase this time, that's all I don't care. It's supposed to be 1 in every 2 displays. I'm going to open 2 Carbonite displays.
Yep.
I'm opening 2 Carbonite displays and then I think another case of Twilight, not of Twilight, a case of Jump regular boosters. I think that's what I settled on. We'll see if I change my mind and add any more onto it closer to the release, but I just, out of that, I
want you to hit so bad. You better hit.
It's been such a saga trying to open a single showcase here, but now they have Holdo showcase, and I'm a huge Holdo stan, so
That's not a polarizing opinion at all. So here we go. Until next time, thank you guys so much for watching Galactic Ambition, part of the Maindeck podcast family. If you really like us, let us know in the comments. Tell us we were wrong. Tell us we were right. Tell us we look good. And we appreciate compliments. We'll see you in 2 weeks, or we might see you in a couple of days to talk about our card that we're about to record about. So make sure you come back to watch that and get as excited as we are to jump to Lightspeed. We'll see you guys soon. For Dan, I'm Jason. You guys have a great night, a great tomorrow, and see you 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Holdo rules. Bye, everyone.
Holdo rules.